paper gives an excellent review of the study of folklore in Bengal in the British period. His critical analysis helps us understand the colonial mind. Even the nationalist folklorists could not get out of the paradigm set by the Orientalists. The earlier study made by Professor Ashraf Siddiqui was more allied to the endorsement of colonial folklore. In this regard, Professor Ahmed's paper is very fruitful and he has enlightened us very much. The folk were then the rural population and the folklorists concentrated totally on aspects of rural life. Professor Ahmed refers to this exclusive focus on rural life as the Oriental virus or the Orientalist or Oriental ghost. He thinks that the Orientalist virus, with a few exceptions, still pervades the folkloristics of Bangladesh. This colonial mentality has been so deep-rooted that the idyllic life of a romantically imagined rural landscape continues to be the creative terrain of the folklorists in general. Therefore, Professor Ahmed calls for decolonizing the folkloristics of Bangladesh. He tells the emerging folklorists to explore new grounds in the urban landscape, though he also tells them to look at the villages afresh. I am in full agreement with him. However, in exploring the urban landscape, we have to be very cautious. This is not for, I'm not telling this for Professor Ahmed, I'm telling this for the emerging folklorists. We have to be very cautious. There is a basic difference between a village and a city. In a village, unless it is overcrowded, everyone knows everyone else. This is not the case in a city. We find small groups of people in a village, such as the blacksmiths, the metalsmiths, the goldsmiths, the weavers, the potters, and so on. Each little group, in fact, is a network of intermarried families, an economically independent and self-sufficient unit. The members of each of these little families or groups are more or less alike in their cultural heritage, education, craftsmanship, social and economic position. I strongly hold here lies the strength of Bangladesh folklore. I don't see the Oriental virus here. But in a city with a highly developed means of communication and formal education, with diverse cultural, social and economic elements, will not find folklore in its purest and most enduring state. A city is the home of learned culture, influenced by media, films, books, automobiles, chain stores, state and national laws, and a multitude of other products of modern civilization, so new and rapidly changing. We have to admit that folklore lives its fullest, purest, and most natural life away from learned culture. Folklore suffers greater suppression and contamination the more it comes into contact with learned knowledge or culture. I'm not ruling out the possibilities of urban folklore. There is a lot of urban folklore in Bangladesh. I have studied folk art in both villages and cities. My point is that we have to identify urban folklore in a way that it is not contaminated by learned culture. Bangladesh is very fortunate in that there are many exceptionally brilliant elements of urban folklore in our national culture. Ekushe, Amar Granthmala, Paila Boishak, Mongol Shabajatra. Finally, I would like to hold firmly that traditional arts and crafts thrive in both.
Before giving his, we are almost at the end of our session. Before giving his concluding remarks, the chairperson, Professor Folklor, desires to invite questions from the audience, if any. Okay. Please come here.
Starting our culture, and things have started during 1985. And Professor Henry Klassi, I would request you to read his book, Art and Life in Bangladesh. When he started Haripadopal in Shakhari Bazar, this is a people-oriented folklore. When he talks with Haripadopal, he talks about our art, our culture, our tradition, religion, and everything. I would request to read the book. In his book, he has written about Maranchand Pal, Haripadopal, Amulya Chandra Pal, and other creators of Bangladesh living in an independent country. If we read his book, we find that our culture is very much people-oriented. It is not decolonization or colonization. We should not waste our time. The time has come to study our culture in our own context, in an independent country, in a sovereign country, and we can study also folklore and nationalism. It's a good factor. It is still, we are studying. You see at Shahabad, the folklore has been created by the young generation, Prajanma Chatta. So folklore is there. It is not the decolonization or colonization. We shouldn't bother about all these things. It's an independent country. So I would request all our researchers and coordinators, and Shamsuddin Khan has given us a project. It is a great opportunity for us to study our folklore at the root level. When I go to Manikganj, I study the people of Manikganj, their culture. It is a very independent and democratic. There is no colonization or decolonization. We should all forget about all these terms. Let us start studying our culture in a new way, in an independent country, So that's all from me, ladies and gentlemen.
I would also like to inform you that I've spent my life in the field. I've done field level folklore research, what I used to call indigenous period of Bangladesh. I published a book in 2000 and I did my PhD research in 96. So when I speak of whatever that I've been speaking of, it is not somebody sitting in Dhaka City and talking as a professor. Now, I have seen, and I've also participated as a resource person in the workshops that you mentioned. And in this mention, in the workshop, I participated, I interacted, I've noticed the kind of mindset that was present. My paper is actually as a reaction of that, reaction of what has come out of that. So I belong to a tradition myself which speaks of praxis. I very much believe in practice and theorization, and I make some both. I will not go into colonization and decolonization. We can spend more time outside. That's a separate issue. But there's the urban population. All right. Now, how much of uncontaminated folklore would you have in Bangladesh? Let's by your standard. I have been to villages. I have studied performance at the village level, and having done that, I realized that I too have this mindset of looking for tradition as belonging to the village. But we can look for the tradition everywhere. If you just cut it out, and then if you look into our life in Bangladesh afresh, then we can look into whatever notion that we can talk of. Now, I'm as much as a citizen of Bangladesh. I love my country perhaps no less than you do. And when perhaps talking of colonization and decolonization, we are talking of not only 71 but later on also. And if you look into Shahbag and Bhojan Chapto, please be very careful when you say that you may be having a new colonization setting into your country very soon. But then we'll continue this discussion afterwards. Thank you.
He has closely observed, and he observed the culture, tradition, and factual things of Bangladesh. In that sense, he is actually unparalleled. We know that even without being the experience of English literature, laymen, even some dictionaries, know about to be or not to be. That is the question. It means that this page has been, has been orally transmitted to the common people. And in this manner, or in this way, we have the colonial influence on us. And you know that they were so tricky and so clever, and they cleverly introduced to us. There are so many, ingredients, aspects of their culture in colonial Bengal. Why do we say colonial Bengal? Being the...
And we have gone through many books, and learned knowledge is never folklore. You are making a mistake here. You are talking about the law. There cannot be any folklore without the folk.
It's not mistake, sir.
No.
It's a different interpretation of things.
No.
Okay, I believe.
Okay, let me finish. Folklore is a special discipline. For folklore to exist as a special discipline, don't mix it up with learned education. Learned education is given in formal way in universities, in schools, in colleges. But the groups we are talking about, they do not learn from us. They have nothing to learn from us. You can try to impose on them, and there are attempts to impose on them. I went to the weavers in Narayanganj at Rupshi. They are telling me that we are inventing our designs, our motifs. But basic people, they sometimes try to impose on motifs. We keep all our motifs in the mind. We read books. They don't need to read books. Every knowledge is in their mind. In the process of their work, in the process of the learning, their process of learning is different. So Learned knowledge is acquired, not the manner in which the simple, these folks, groups of people acquire. So you have to make a distinction here. When we study folklore, we study groups of people. Forget about the Lord. If you talk about the Lord, then there will be no folklore. Folklore is something that goes on, that is contemporary, that exists. Nothing of the past. So we have to interpret Benama's definition of folklore and Roger D. Abrams' folklore is folklore well performed. We have to be very careful. We are not performing folklore here. Yes, if you apply Benama's theory, folklore is folklore only when performed. Yes, you may think, oh, something is happening, we are performing here. But we do not meet the other conditions. The habitat, the coherence, the group must be a coherent group. We acquire learned people, they are not a coherent group, their knowledge is transferable. I can read history, then I can pass my knowledge to students. But a folklorist, their groups, they will pass on in a different way, in the process of their learning, in the process of their carrying on their trade. So here is the difference. We have to understand this. Thank you very much.
It's not a young discipline, and it's very important to be reflective of the history. There is so much you can learn from this. So, we are getting to the end of this first session. The conference has really started successfully. I thank you, I thank the speakers, I thank the discussants, I thank the audience. Session is finished.
I don't want to fall down very much because it seems happy to me. We just fell in love with it. We were already more আমি যে হাত লাগাইছি সবাই
এখানে তুই পানি নিয়ে আসি
of exchange of ideas, arguments and everything. This session has been particularly titled as folk narrative, but as I said, the abstract also reflects on some of the interpretative and theoretical backgrounds of these narratives. And for us, the first presenter will be Professor Margaret Mays. Professor Margaret Mays has too much of credentials on her part. I cannot really read all of them. But I must let you know that Margaret Mays is a professor, emeritus professor of the Department of Near East Languages and Cultures at Ohio State University. And she has been doing her work, and she has a PhD from Harvard in General Folklore and Iranian Studies. And the dissertation that she did at Harvard is titled Oral Narrative in Afghanistan, the Individual Tradition. And this was directed by no less a person than Albert Betts Law, the main proponent of the widely influential oral theory of epic composition. Her field of research has focused more on the folklore of Afghanistan, the former Soviet Tajikistan, and also Pakistan. Professor Mills has so many awards to her credit. Very important certain awards have been here, which includes Fulbright Highs, James Simon Guggenheim, Chicago Folklor Prize from Estonia. Dr. Ulo Bhark is a folkloristic, in particular at the university, researcher at the Department of Folkloristics of the Estonian Language Institute. And since 1994, he has been teaching folklore at the University of California. And he was also a Fulbright Scholar at the Center for Folklore and as International Society for Folklore Narrative Research as its president. And here is she.
But in Bangladesh, he is coming first time. So he's the first, this is his first visit here, and I'm so glad you came. And he will come again and again now. And it's a lovely country, there's no doubt about it. So without wasting more time, I will request Professor Margaret Mills to go ahead with the presentation, and don't worry about time at all.
Theory is, and our beloved and now lost colleague A.K. Ramanujan told a wonderful story apropos of that, and it's one you probably know. There was a sadhu who was walking one day in a very dry desert, and he was down in a wadi, in a gully, to be in the shade. And he was walking along, and suddenly there was a flood. And the flood washed his feet out from under him, and he was rolling along and thought he was probably going to drown. And all of a sudden he saw beside him, also floating, a raft. Rafts, we know, as Marhota can tell us, are important in Bengali folklore and poetry. At any rate, the raft came floating by, and the sadhu seized onto the raft and climbed up on it and saved his life. And he floated down until the water dissipated, dried up. So there he was, again, in the dry gully, and he looked at the raft, and he picked up the raft, and he strapped it on his back, and he started walking off across the desert. And what Raman said was, you should know that that raft was theory. It may save your life, but you don't want to strap it to your back. So, I think that story is important to tell today. That's the only story I get to tell, though. The topic of cultural expressions, and certainly folklore is my generation and after, since the 1960s or even the 1950s. And of course, the individual artist or traditional performer is part of a group or groups. The cultural repertoire, knowledge, values, and beliefs gives the artist an idiom for creatives to use that repertoire and in the process reshape the culture and its traditions, even while maintaining them, performers, their local knowledge. So in a way, we have to go global in order to fully perceive and understand the local. How we go global, of course, is a big question. My particular struggle right now with how to use and to critique world folklore theory has lately been directed to the topic of the trickster, because I've been trying to discuss the very progressive topic of women tricksters in Persian oral literature and in Muslim tradition in general. And I should say there are two great regional spheres that intersect here. One is Islam and Islamic culture, and the other, of course, is South Asia in all of its religious diversity, and those two regional maps intersect in various complicated ways, especially here in Bangladesh. Since I'm mainly a narrative person, maybe my best way of laying out the comparative theory problems and where they're taking me is by retracing one route that I've taken through them. As you'll hear, this is an unfinished journey, and I'm very much hoping for your ideas and advice for further stages of this exploration. I must say that the discussion this morning made me really jealous. The level of energy that prevailed in the last speakers and the comments that came from the audience is a rare and wonderful thing. So bring it on. Anyway, briefly, since 1974, I've been privileged with interruptions to learn about oral storytelling, prose storytelling, from Persian-speaking Afghans. Among their stories, as you might well imagine, are a rich assortment of tales about trickery. Tricks are the necessary strategy of the underdogs, male and female, who are the heroes of so many folk tales, not just in Afghanistan, of course. In my experience, it is worth paying attention to the different ways in which female and male storytellers choose and frame the stories they tell within one community or within connected communities. The creative dimensions of traditional artistry being, as we well know, partly owing to the social position and the situation of the artist, of each individual artist. And in the case of tricksters and tales about the trickery, when I went looking for theoretical discussions of how and why such stories fascinate, why they might fascinate their Afghan tellers and listeners, and why they fascinate others, including myself, I found several things lacking in the theory I could find. First of all, while there was some very interesting writing on women as tricksters in Islamic literature, in some ways the term makare, which means trickster in Arabo-Persian, is taken as a synonym for woman. We women are supposedly all devious by nature, starting with Mother Eve. The literary treatment of women tricksters is often, if not predominantly, misogynist. Eve's character flaws, greed, hypersexuality, although she got around to that a little later, and maybe worst of all, undue curiosity, are supposedly the besetting sins of all women. So say the literary writers, who of course are mostly male in Muslim literature. There are whole treatises on women's tricks, starting in the medieval period. So it appeared to me striking that in Afghan folktales, both told by individual men that I knew and told by individual women, the woman who is the arch trickster often carries out her deceit in pursuit not of her own greed or her own desire, but in pursuit of social justice, not only to punish the misbehaving, both men and women, but most of the stories I've been dealing with, this is either by implication or by direct women, who by controlling their own desires are able to foil others' evil desires or wrong behavior in an existing world comparative theory for, I think, two reasons. First of all, most are not acknowledged in literary discussion, while antisocial, the Quran and beyond it are treated as the norm. Secondly, world trickster theory, non-sacred literature and folktale, they're mostly men, almost, and the theory seems to be assume male personality, which sometimes extends its deceit to things like masquerading as a female, pervasive. So this ignorance of the gender issue, the full dynamic picture in Euro theory, narrative bodies of folk literature, where, as I said, women are everywhere, is both negative and the physical strength and mobility of men. I do wish you had time to tell a few stories and reflect on them as samples. The stories themselves are, after all, the heart and soul of our interest. As Henry again pointed out, it's not what we have to say about the stuff, it's the stuff that really matters. So please do excuse me that I can't even tell you one of these rather complex stories, maybe later over dinner. Among other things, these tales tend to be very funny, they're ironic, they're ambiguous as to how we're supposed to regard the mayhem that attacks the social order when the tricksters go into their activities. We enjoy that mayhem. Perhaps it's an Aristotelian sort of catharsis. But to go back to the problem with existing theory on tricksters, there's also the problem of genre distinctions or commonalities across genres that have been treated as distinct.